Hello, I know this is a change of pace for my videos, but for those of you who just watch my channel for Doom videos, don't worry. This game's story tackles some messaging that I feel is necessary to cover before we head deeper into the Doom series. Of course, you may also be a bit dismayed by the runtime of this video, but oh, who am I kidding? People are accustomed to longer videos now. Just pop this on and listen along while doing chores or work. Or use the chapter cards to skip sections you're not interested in. There's no time to waste. Well, other than like an hour and a half. Let me say first off that I do love this game. It is my go-to puzzle game when I have friends over, and the only time I've gotten drunk was while playing Petal Crash with my partner. And I feel the need to say I love this game before getting into anything, because right off the bat, well, after a cute intro animation, I already have some issues. The game presents you with the option for control scheme, which is good, I think it should, but the default is quick swipe, which, contrary to what you might think, is in fact not the quickest control scheme. I do think it's cute that this is the default control scheme, since Petal Crash tries to capture nostalgia from Genesis, Game Boy Color, and SNES puzzlers, and if this game were designed for those consoles or an arcade machine, I could definitely imagine this being the only control scheme. And I mean, it does the job, it's fine, but I am baby. I did not exist when these consoles were popular, so from my perspective, it is antiquated. So, which control scheme is better? Well, obviously not aim and release. That one adds yet another step you have to take before sending a pedal, crashing, in a direction. Which leaves us with the 4-button control scheme. And oh, yes please, telling me I can just use my face buttons as another D-pad to determine which direction I send a pedal in with just one button press? I don't have to press a button to swap my actual D-pad from acting as a cursor to determining the direction a pedal is sent. I can just use my D-pad as a cursor and my face buttons to determine the direction a pedal is sent and send it with one easy button press? I love that. But the game doesn't. Every time the game boots up, it defaults to quick swipe, which isn't awful, since it brings this menu up every time the game boots, but I really wish it would just save the last to use moveset for each player, which is entirely possible because the game does have a save system, so I'm not sure why this is even a problem. Anyway, it doesn't detract from the game in any meaningful way, but it's definitely one small thing I'd really like to see the sequel change. Now that you know how to press my buttons, I mean which button to press, let's select our preferred control style and get into the basics of the game. Thankfully, Lilibri is willing to do that for me. Hi there, I'm Lilibri, and I'm excited to teach you how to play Petal Crash. You can push blocks any direction, up, down, left, or right. When pushed, they keep going until they hit a wall or another block. As you make moves, new blocks will start to appear on the board. You can also make them appear faster with the grow button, giving you more to work with. If you push a block into another block, that's the same color, they burst. Wow. Bursting blocks scores points, so break as many as you can. Just lining them up next to each other isn't enough. Set them off with a direct impact. Now that's a Petal Crash. Oh, and one more thing. When blocks burst, they push the other blocks next to them. Line it up just right, and it can cause a chain reaction. Long chains are worth tons of points. Try to set them up if you can. Just be careful not to let your board fill up all the way, or it's game over. There's more lessons available, but that should be enough to get you started. Good luck, and happy Petal Crashing! Okay, so 80% of the people watching have probably clicked off now, but let's get one last thing out of the way before we delve into the game's story mode. Petal Crash offers some alternate block palettes to choose from, and these are simple reskins, but my friends have actually gotten much use out of these. I have 2 friends that prefer the sweep panels, one of them even uses the colorblind version, and while I usually play with the default pedals, for this review I decided to use the colorblind pedals in order to keep the video as accessible as possible. That means in my experience I've seen 4 of these palettes used for actual gameplay. There are 2 more palettes called Yosoti's Cookie and Super Dog, but they're mostly just cute references to Yoshi's Cookie and Freedom Planet, and I don't know anyone who actually prefers using them for standard play. I would like to note that Petal Crash will save your choice of block palette, and I do really appreciate that. Apparently, saving your preferred block palette was added in a later update, so I think the preferred control scheme issue might be a problem with how the game was programmed. Otherwise, I think they would have added that in with that update too. Let's finally take a look at the characters. Petal Crash has 14 playable characters, each with an alternate color scheme as well, but for the story mode, our roster is limited to Lilibri the Librarian, Strelitz the Brat Kid, Penny and Deony the Orphan Twins, OreKid the Miner, Daize the Common Worker, Yosoti the Dancer, and Rosalia the Last Knight from the Old Kingdom of Floria. We'll be starting with Lilibri and working our way across the list from there. Lilibri is a fairy and a historian, and she'll introduce you to the game's premise. The 7 Sacred Blossoms. They were scattered when the Old Kingdom collapsed, left to languish in lost corners of a fractured Floria. Still, power yet sleeps inside them. If the Sacred Blossoms are returned home to the royal garden's ruins, whoever gathered them will be granted their heart's true and deepest wish. At least that's what I've read. Gosh, but it's just ever so exciting. Sure, the records don't agree on the specifics, and, historians agree it's likely myth. But myth or fact, legends or history, it's knowledge worth pursuing either way. Besides, I have a sacred blossom of my own. This at least proves there's some truth to the tales, isn't it? Maybe. I think so. I'm not sure. To be honest, I've been putting off this journey for a while. I've researched research all my life. When a librarian wants answers, they don't hit the road, they hit the books. But everyone's counting on me to make the Sylvan Library the best resource that it can be. If a wish can fill its shelves with knowledge lost to time, then I'll just have to quest my very best. Each character has their own sacred blossom, embarks on a journey to find the others, then brings all the blossoms to the royal garden to grant their heart's truest wish. Each character has their own wish, of course, and on their journeys we'll learn from the other characters as they try to earn the sacred blossoms. Similar to this review, everyone will head to the Sylvan Library first to find more information on the sacred blossoms, and have to face Lilibri in a Petal Crash. Well, except Lilibri, of course, and Rosalia, but we'll get to that later. From there, Lilibri heads to a small village whose prized possession is the sacred blossom, Bird of Paradise, guarded by the mighty Strelitz. So you're gonna voice the bratty kid?
Oh, I guess if I have to.
Oh no. Oh. Amazing. The sacred blossom, Bird of Paradise. It's just as beautiful as my research suggested.
Stop right there! If you want the sacred blossom, you'll have to pry it from my hot, alive hands.
But Strelitz, what was it? The rest of your village agreed to let me borrow.
So what? They can't just give over our treasure to every stray librarian that claims to need it for a quest. How would you like it if I came to your library and borrowed one of your books, huh? I'm the prince. No, the king of... I'm part of this town too. Everyone here is too good for their own good, so it's on me to not let strangers take advantage of their trust.
I see. He really cares about his village. You're good too, you know, Strelitz. Okay then, let's Petal Crash. After that, we won't be strangers anymore.
Wait, where's my controller?
You don't have a controller. This is the story mode.
Oh, I mean, duh.
And 2.5 pages into this script, we finally get to some gameplay. While Petal Crash has multiple game modes, referred to as rule sets, the story only utilizes Tug of War, which I actually think is good because it's by far the most versatile rule set, while also being very intuitive. It's a tug of war battle. Clear blocks to score hits. Each player is given 3 hits, which are the hearts on the screen, and in order to score a hit on your opponent, you have to move the battle bar to the other end of your opponent's side. You move the bar by clearing blocks, and the bar will shrink over time to prevent players from having an endless even match. In addition, chains will not affect how far the battle bar moves. It will only move however many blocks you've cleared, so feel free to just grow rapidly and clear blocks one by one to rapidly push the bar towards one side, especially if the battle bar has shrunk a lot. You'll have time to set up long attack chains once the battle bar is full again, but if the bar is small, utilize that and strike fast. Of course, that's only one way to attack your opponent. Setting up chains is still worthwhile. Taking the time to build a chain may leave you more susceptible to a hit, but chains will send garbage onto your opponent's board. That gives you the ability to clutter their screen and potentially mess up chains they've been building. It's a great suppression tool, but that clutter could also overgrow your opponent's board, which will net you an immediate win, and all the petals you've cleared will still move the battle bar. The amount of trash you send over is affected by how many chains there are, and it's computed based off some math I'm too gay to understand, so I'll just show you the garbage table available on the Petal Crashers wiki. Basically, you want to prioritize large clusters of petals and achieve a max of 5 chains. The way this works out is so awesome. This allows for so many different playstyles and kind of feels like a fighting game when playing versus against friends. Except, instead of choosing a character whose playstyle you like, you get to determine the playstyle and get to just choose whichever character hits your vibe. You get to choose whether you make slow but heavy attacks, or if you play fast and aggressive, going for either the battle bar or trying to make your opponent overgrown. Of course, everyone will fall within a spectrum and not really fall into one style of play, instead incorporating each and utilizing them as they choose, whether that be to counter different opponents' fighting styles or simply based on each unique situation their board, their opponent's board, and the battle bar place them in. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. You might be wondering, Theorility, didn't you say each character will learn from the rest? What the fuck was Lilibri supposed to learn from that brat kid? First off, rude. You will address him as Sovereign Leader of Hell. Second, you're still learning how to play, but fine, let's get back to the story. You're this village's real treasure, Strelitz. Keep on protecting it. Make sure to study, too. Now give me that!
Hey, look, it's the Blight Twins.
My, all the clothing in this shop is expertly made. How nice to see hard-learned knowledge at work. Great taste, lady. Hear that, Deony? Yeah, my sewing's nothing special, but that's kind of her to say. Aw, come on, take the compliment, Deony. The customer is always right, you know. Oh, I'm wrong quite often. I still have much to learn. I've read books on fashion and sewing, though. Books about sewing? Why, yes, there's tomes that touch up upon all sorts of subjects at the Sylvan Library. You can just say you'd like to read one, Deony. I was working up to it. Oh, of course, sharing books is what I'm all about. Here, this travelogue has passages you might find interesting. Hey, you wanted my peony, right? Everyone said you've been asking around about it, saying it grants wishes. Oh, yes, that. I was working up to it. Well, you basically already granted a wish for Deony, so I'll give it to you. Sis. For a 10% discount. What? Okay, fine. Double discount. If you can beat me in a Petal Crash. I'm not a voice actress. Theo, Lilibri still didn't learn anything. Have some patience. Lilibri is a librarian. Let's follow her lead first and gather information, and then we'll connect all the dots once we have all of them, okay? For now, we still got a lot of game mechanics to cover. Of course, this is a versus mode, so everything you do, your opponent can do. I know, incredible. Nah, genuinely, things get neat when you consider how garbage works. Garbage does not place onto the board immediately. When garbage is sent, it will not be placed until after that board's player's next move. And with that move, they can counter it. If you're queued to take garbage and make a move that qualifies to make garbage, the amount of garbage that normally would be sent onto your opponent's board will actually subtract from the amount queued to fall onto yours. If the amount of garbage you produced is greater than the amount queued for your board, then what's left over is sent to your opponent's queue. This is where you can do some 4D chess kind of moves. The obvious thing would be to set up a chain and just leave it. Keep those petals as an easy counter to whatever trash your opponent might send your way. Then you can play however you like until your opponent sends some trash, counter, set up another counter chain, and get back to your preferred play. But what if your opponent has a counter chain set up? Well, you could just try to overwhelm it with a larger chain. Or hold on to that larger chain of yours, make it your counter chain, and spark smaller chains to send small amounts of garbage onto your opponent's board. It's like a little game of chicken. Eventually garbage will get in the way of one of y'all's beautiful counter chains, and someone will have to send theirs off first. And there's even more choices to make after that. If your opponent had to set off their chain first, you could just tank it. If you're queued to take garbage and make a move that qualifies to make garbage, It will always prioritize countering the garbage in your queue before being sent to your opponent's queue. This means in order to send the maximum amount of garbage onto your opponent's board, you need a clear queue. And one easy way to clear it is just to accept the garbage. My friends hate when I do that. When garbage falls onto your board, it takes 4 moves for it to spawn, so you have ample amount of time to accommodate for it. Well, unless your board is already close to overgrowing, then you just gotta hope your opponent doesn't go in for the kill. I'll see you at the library, Deony. And your sister when I pay my first installment.
So let me get this straight. You're saying this orchid I dug up is one of the 6 secret blossoms?
One of the 7 sacred blossoms, yes.
And when you get all 8, they'll grant your wish? That's wild, man. Like a really tedious genie.
I suppose, I also don't suppose you'd mind lending it to me.
Keep it. It's all yours.
You might be far from the mic. If you're giving me the orchid just like that, if there's something you want, I'd be happy to trade for it.
Dang. And I didn't even have to gather 9 of you. But nah, it's chill. No clue what I'd wish for if I kept it. Guess I kinda wanna know what you're gonna wish for, though.
Well, a window to Floria's past, in short. Think of all we'd learn if we could study it as if it were the present.
Nice. Digging up old stuff is kinda my whole jam. And then what's more old stuff than everything before right now? Wait. If a window to everything that ever was means absolute knowledge, and knowledge is power, your wish is for absolute power?
Huh?
I'll Petal crash you, the seed of your dark reign before it sprouts, tyrant. Definitely not just cause I'm role-playing, cause I'm bored.
Yo, did you see that? Or well, if you're just listening, did you hear that? OreKid just grew 4 times before moving any petals. No one else has done that. Is the AI acting funny? No, that's just OreKid's AI. Just like every player will have their own unique way of playing, each character has their own unique AI package. Well, the 9 characters that appear as opponents in the story mode each have their own unique AI. 9? Yeah, 9. Lilibri, Strelitz, PennyDeony, OreKid, Daize, Yosoti, and Rosalia each have their own AI package. Penny and Deony alternate which of their AI packages is used every 15 seconds, which is such a cool thing I would never expect out of a puzzle game. Each character's AI package fits how you'd expect them to play, and to refrain from just quoting the wiki, I won't tell you how each of them behave. That's 8? No, you're 8. Watching someone else talk about an awesome cute puzzle game because you can't get a job? Well, neither can I. You were only kidding, but I'll use my wish for good, don't worry. It is a good wish, right? I hope so. Oh hey, some introspection. Where could that be leading?
Hey, I'm Spike Spiegel. I mean, Daize. Daisy. This daisy I got. One of these sacred blossoms then. And when it's with the buds, they grant you your true wish.
In theory, yes. For a library full of everything Floria's past still has to teach us. It's worth a try at least.
Floria's past, huh? And I can't speak for any history that ain't this city's, but I don't know there's much in ours besides what led to now. And now ain't working for a lot of folks these days. When your present's poor and hungry, tomorrow's more pressing mystery than all the yesterdays for years, you know?
I see. You're right, food for thought is lovely, but you can't eat books. Well, it's inadvisable.
That ain't it. The past is a tool like anything else. What matters is the good you do with it. Personally, I trust the past's in good hands if they're yours. The daisy, too. The way I see it, You proved you can handle old tools like a pro by putting up with me as long as you have.
You're a wise guy, in every sense of the words, Daize. Thank you. I hope I can find the faith in me you've seemed to find so easily. I want to be a worthy steward of the past.
Tell you what, since you'd think I'm so dang wise, face me in a Petal crash, and I'll prove you're the one the wiser.
While Lilibri crashes against Daize, I believe this is the perfect opportunity to talk about some flaws with the systems, and Petal crash. If you've been watching the gameplay on screen, you may have already noticed that none of the blocks are able to move diagonally. Due to limitations of the game engine, corner cases will instead be determined by prioritizing right, then up and down, then left, which, for a game that in every other way is incredibly intuitive, this is a really weak link and can break chains that you'd otherwise expect to be successful. On screen you can see the different corner cases and which ones will work for chains and which won't. Again, this is pulled from the Petal Crashers wiki. You could memorize these if you want, but it's really not necessary, and as you play the game it'll become instinct, but unlike every other system in the game, which can be intuitive just based off how you'd expect things to work or react, corner cases will have to be learned. Petal Crash 2 solves this issue and allows for diagonals, but it's still worth noting what issues exist in Petal Crash in order to catalog what Ashley and the team at Friend and Fairy has learned and where they've improved upon this game's intuitive nature. Thank you so much for believing in me, Daize. I'll think hard about how best to put the past to present use. Ah, those clothes. That forget-me-not in your hair. I know you. You're Yosoti, the dancer. I'm so glad I tracked you down. I know this is a lot to ask, but I was wondering if I could have...
My autograph? Of course. Always nice to meet a fan. What should I sign? One of your books?
Goodness, no. I'm more passionate scholar than passionate fan. Passionate scholar.
Aw, you don't have to hide it. I don't mind if they're full of fanfic and drawings of me, you know.
That's not it.
This one sure seems like fanfic. Yosoti at the royal court, or here, Rebel Heart, Yosoti's secret love.
Those are historical manuscripts, accounts of your predecessors' lives. I was studying the sacred blossoms. Your name and that flower have been passed down hand in hand over the years.
Sure. I see. Then you're the librarian on a quest for a perfect record of the past. Rumors had reached my ears. I think yours is a lovely wish. But my forget-me-not is a family heirloom. I can't part with it. Not until I've secured my place in your collection with an unforgettable Petal crash. Come, dance with me.
Alright, finally we're going to start discussing this game's story. Presentation! I want to talk about the presentation. This game is undeniably adorable, and its vibrant color scheme goes hand in hand to make this game easily readable and understandable. Furthermore, the pixel art and animation within Petal Crash is absolutely superb. Character sprites are detailed but not cluttered, and each have their own unique color palette and silhouette to make them stand out at a glance. And the animations, oh my, are so fucking cute and help bring these characters to life. Everyone reacts differently and within character to the amount of hits they have, how close they are to overgrowing, if they score a hit or send garbage, and if they're hit or receive garbage. My favorite character has to be Penny, and while I was streaming this game I kept gushing about Penny and Deony, and a viewer commented that Deony was super cute. Of course, my partner really loves Yosoti because they're non-binary. All of my guy friends have latched onto OreKid. Daize and Rosalia get simped over. Hard. Lilibri is a hit with my nerd friends. And me. Lilibri really earns my love at the end of the story. And one of my friends' favorite is Strelitz. The poor kid deserves more love. It's also incredible that the default block palette is both easily readable just based off the shapes, while fitting within the theming of Petals. Each character also gets their own background art and musical theme that may appear when playing as them or against them. And Michael Staple really nailed the music for this game. Each character's theme perfectly conveys their personality, and his score injects more emotion into special story beats. My wish belongs to everyone that wants to be remembered. I only hope that all I've seen can be conveyed.
I am Rosalia, last knight of the Kingdom of Protector of the Royal Garden. You who have gathered 6 of the 7 sacred blossoms, state your wish.
A knight of the kingdom? She's a living relic. I must ask her. No. Be cool. You quested hard for this. I want my Sylvan Library to be a place where Floria's past can live on in the present. All the knowledge that's been lost to time, lost to the churn of change, I would wish it back onto my shelves.
I see. A noble dream. To preserve what has been lost, but a misguided one. I will use the Seven's wish to revive my kingdom. How could its mere ghost upon a faded page compare?
Revive the kingdom? But that isn't possible. A unified Floria? Its kings and queens, they withered for a reason.
Your words and wish forsake the past you claim to love. You'd prefer a history pressed flat, dead within your books, to one blossoming beautifully once more? I see your resolve plain upon your face, and yet I sense you've restrained your riposte. Unacceptable. I won't allow you to hold back. If you refuse to face me in a clash of words, you'll face me in a clash of wits. We Petal crash. Let the victor keep my rose, the final sacred blossom.
Story! And I promise the rest of this video will mostly be discussing plot and story. But from now on, I'll only be showing intro scenes, ending scenes, and any other relevant scenes I want to discuss. Also, the voice acting for some characters will be inconsistent, as my partner and I dubbed the story live and wanted to try different takes on how they might sound. We had a lot of fun, and if you'd like to join our streams, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified when we start streaming. Anyway, I believe it's understandable who is talking and when, but I apologize if it's confusing at any point. You'll always be able to see who on screen is talking, but you should still be able to understand everything if you treat this like a podcast. It should be pretty clear now that each character has represented an important stop on Lilibri's physical journey to gather the sacred blossoms, but also her spiritual journey. Now at this story's conclusion, we can see that Strelitz represents the youth who could use guidance from a teacher. OreKid sowed the doubt into Lilibri's mind that simply being a keeper of knowledge might not be a good wish. It's then Daize who inspires her to think of how to put the past to present use. Yosoti's wish to be remembered invigorates Lilibri's belief that having a perfect record of history is worth seeking. And finally, Rosalia challenges Lilibri's wish to have a perfect record of the past by asking what purpose the past has when it's pressed flat, dead within her books. Unfortunately, Lilibri doesn't have an answer yet, and so after this crash, we find her in possession of the sacred blossoms and immense doubt. Rosalia, forgive me, your wish, your feelings for the land you lost, they're truly worthy, but the 7 sacred blossoms. I'm holding history past and future in my hands. How did I end up with a present so much bigger than I've earned? Everyone I met had wishes growing in their hearts, I'm sure of it. If I hadn't plucked the means from their grasp for my own ends prematurely, I'm certain their dreams would one day have borne fruit more brilliant than mine. Oh, Lilibri, you big dork. What are you gonna do now?
I'd like to know that too. Heck, ain't much I'd wish for more than finding out.
Daize! But how? Why are you?
To see your wish come true, of course. Gotta say, the suspense is a nice touch.
Daize, I'm glad you're here. Listen, you should take the sacred blossoms. I'm sure you'll put them to good use helping your city's people.
Huh? Come on, you don't want that.
I do. I don't know. I'm all mixed up. I don't know what I want.
Sure you do. You had a wish that made us both beam when you shared it. It's the reason we're both here. Your passion for learning the sacred blossoms, for Floria itself. I'm betting you do more good spreading that love instead of letting shame hold your heart back.
I've been holding back a lot. This journey was A wish come true already. Like reading every book I love at once.
Figured as much.
I'd say I want a rematch just to prove I've truly earned this. But the truth is, I love Petal crashing too.
That's as good a reason for another go as any. I'd be happy to, if you would.
If I get any happier, I'll geek out for sure. I can't promise I won't be too much to handle.
Reckon I can rise to the occasion.
Then, if you really mean it. A climatic crash in the royal garden is the stuff that history and all my dreams are made of. Let's go! Well, this seems entirely unnecessary, and in fact, it is. If you were paying attention to your screen before we started this journey, you would have seen me change the difficulty to medium. I consider making a big deal about how it always defaults to easy, same as how I made a big deal about the control scheme resetting every time the game boots, because when playing on any difficulty level, medium or higher, you can unlock a secret final clash, so long as you don't have to use a continue. But honestly, I play on different difficulties depending on my mood, so I'm always changing it anyway. Continues, by the way, allow the player to... I'm joking, everyone knows what continues are. Or am I? When you lose the crash in story mode, you can choose to continue and the game will decrease the difficulty a bit. The difficulty decrease allows less skilled players to still progress through the story, and it was a nice quality of life when I started trying out higher difficulties. And these final crashes add some nice character interactions, but they're not super necessary. So if you have to use a continue, you're still getting the full experience. In fact, I actually had to use a continue during Daize's story when capturing footage, and I just stuck with the playthrough because while the extra fight and character interactions are nice, the story carries its weight without them. However, Lilibri is super cute when she's not holding her passion back, so it's always worth going for, and it's her final lines that secure her a place in my heart and provide an answer to Rosalia's challenge. I don't have to be more than I am to deserve this. Anyone can make history. Everyone does. History isn't a flower you can just pluck from the past and transplant to the present. It's the sum total of the hopes and failures, the cultures fought and labor of the people living in it. Not dead, but beaming with life. The fertile soil where the now can bloom into the brighter future. My heart's true and deepest wish. I thought it was a perfect record of the past. But maybe I was scared to admit that what I really wanted, needed, knowledge on its own isn't enough. The past, our history, needs to be cultivated, tended to, pruned, harvested, taught. Everyone who visits is a seed of days to come, so I'll make the Sylvan Library the ideal greenhouse. The best environment there is to learn and grow. I'll be its gardener, a librarian, and teacher too. I'm done doubting myself. I might not have a perfect record, but if I've learned anything on this journey, it's that I have the strength I always wished for, and that plus some good books is all I need. Hear that, Sacred Blossoms? I think this little Lilibri just proved your legend's real. How could you not love her? I also really appreciate that the Sacred Blossoms don't actually grant Lilibri a wish. Lilibri sets out on a quest to gather the Sacred Blossoms and gather them at the Royal Garden in order to grant a wish that is not fully realized. And Lilibri's quest becomes a journey where, along the way, each of the playable characters provide insight to her wish and make her question what makes the past worth saving in her dead, lifeless pages. Lilibri learns by the end of this journey that what she truly wants is to share the past with everyone and use the Sylvan Library as a garden, to use the past as fertile soil from which a better future can grow through understanding what has come before. The rest of these stories will go by much faster since we've gotten most of the mechanics out of the way, and I won't be showing every scene. But now that we've gotten through one story, there'll be more to discuss on how these stories interconnect and build a greater meaning together than they hold on their own. With that said, say hello to the fiery brat. I mean, self-proclaimed demon prince, Strelitz. Count your curses, mortal. You just stumbled deep into the world of pain. Mine! The world is what is mine, just to clarify. And the pain is my enemies. Enemies, theirs. Look upon my fearsome horns, smell my brimstone breath. Take my word for the infernal blood swirling in my veins. I am Strelitz, the demon prince. Tremble, for you face hell's greatest warrior, the heir to its dark throne. You want to know more about hell's royal family? You ask what mighty pair of fiends could sire Strelitz? Heh. Well, my parents, they're total normies! Ugh, it's the worst. What kind of descendants of the Flaming Depths live in a peaceful rural village? They're always baking and doing laundry and telling me I have to wait until I'm older to wield swords. Well, I've had enough. The whole town treats me like a little kid, and I can't stand it. I won't. I'll steal the village treasure, this weird flower everybody's always fawning over, and use the wish it's supposed to grant to become Prince of Hell for real. Not Prince, it's King. That'll teach him not to laugh at me. Angie kid. I finally lost him. I sure hope they were chasing me so I didn't run and hide for nothing. I mean, outspeed them and fortify my position in this... Wait, is this place... It's full of books! Oh no. My wish came true already, didn't it? This is hell, isn't it? No, I don't want to be king of this! As you can tell, Strelitz is probably very sensitive to me talking over him. He feels that no one takes him seriously because he's a kid, and wishes to become king of hell, so no one will ignore him anymore. Something we saw Lilibri do in her own story, and we will continue to see other characters do the same during their own stories. I think this is the weakest story in Petal Crash, but in order to learn from it, we have to go through it and discuss how Strelitz could have been used better. For the rest of Strelitz's journey, he'll actually be taken somewhat seriously. Penny's enthusiasm can be a bit hard to understand at times, but she agrees to lend over the peony so long as Strelitz always goes to them for his kingly attire. And Strelitz shows some appreciation for their mundane, unexciting, normal job. OreKid will compliment Strelitz's vocabulary, and Strelitz will be a bit flustered by that. Get all that out. Especially the word bioluminescent. What are you, like, 8? That's incredible. Thanks. They do say the brain's a muscle, so it's no wonder mine's as dense for my age as the rest of them. Daize is respectful, but when he tries to give Strelitz an adult's perspective, Strelitz gets frustrated and interrupts him with a Petal Crash. And apparently after this crash, Strelitz's hot-headedness gets burnt out because he falls face first onto the ground in the middle of a parade. Luckily, one of the performers offers him help, and Strelitz concedes that it's okay to accept help from people. Whoa, what a cool night. A real shroud? Is that an eye patch? Maybe she's hiding a cool bloodline eye. You there, turn back at once. The royal garden is no place for a child. Child? No, not you too. Listen up. I, Demon Prince Strelitz, demand you... whatever. No one's gonna take me seriously until I get my wish. Until I'm Demon King. Demon King? Yeah. Yuck it up. My whims won't be adorable when their royal hell decrees. Then you're here too. You would use the sacred blossoms to attain this power. Yeah, that's the plan. To have underestimated such a threat. Perhaps the centuries have dulled more than my blade. This quiet power, like a dormant volcano, he must not obtain my rose. If he does, the world will. Prepare yourself, Demon Prince. I, Rosalia, shall Petal Crash the seed of your dark reign before it sprouts. Let's frickin' go! And finally, Strelitz gets the recognition he's been looking for this whole time. But is it truly what he wants? What's his true wish? I honestly can't tell yet. With every other character, I could tell what their true wish was by this point, and that made me excited to face Rosalia in a Petal crash. But that investment is missing in Strelitz's story, because we're not given any clear direction as to what he wants. He's learned to value skills outside of fighting and accept help from others, but he's been very adamant about wanting control over others even leading into this crash. So his wish is still flawed and misguided, and I can't be excited to see it through. Luckily, Lilibri has faith in Strelitz to make up for my lack of it. Whoa, the sacred blossoms, they're resonating with my burning heartbeat. Or like the royal garden, or whatever, definitely with something royal, probably me. But then, why is the lily not reacting? That's probably the garden's fault, definitely not mine. It's my fault, I'm afraid. You're Lilibri, the librarian. What gives? Well, I do. Not the actual... what I'm saying is, the lily I gave you, it's a fake. A scientific replica, to be exact, made by me while researching the real one. I must say, I was expecting you'd react with more fire, you know, a flame hit, or a hot kick, or... Oh, I'm not good at this. You're not mad? Of course I'm mad! I'm just burnt out, sick, and tired of grown-ups tricking and treating me like a clueless child. I'm sorry, Strelitz. It's just that I have a sort of, extreme passion for Petal crashing. You weren't ready to face me when your journey began, and I wasn't ready to part with my sacred blossom. But your heart was true, even with your unique wish. I couldn't let you leave empty-handed and discouraged. So you put on kid gloves and forked over a fake flower? Pretty much. It's an adult's job to guide young minds, sometimes with unseen hands. But it's your job to learn and grow and fight for all the room you need for both. So I won't tell you what's best for you anymore. Instead, tell me what you want, and I'll support you. I want a rematch, of course, a Petal crash class for the real Lily. I'll meet your passion, exceed it. I'll have untapped power too, like 10 super cool secret transformations. Well, the one I have isn't very cool. It's quite the opposite, but if you're prepared, then... Consider this your final test. Show me, everything you've learned. You know, I'm glad to see Lilibri following through with being a teacher, but I actually think having Lilibri give Strelitz a fake lily undermines the intentions of Strelitz's journey. Let's finish his story, and then we'll discuss why. I won! Did you see that? I won, all on my... Oh, right, well, I'm sure such tales of my victory will reach home. So, this is it, huh? My infernal coronation. I hope my demon minions make a big cake to celebrate. Oh, or pancakes. I miss pancakes. I wish my parents were here to see me now. Not just a silly kid, but at the height of my dark glory. Oh, but that's not my actual wish. Oh, no. I messed up. Guess not. Ugh. I was worried the magic might misfire, but... no mom's in sight. Still, all by myself. I'm not lonely. I'm not homesick. I'm strong. I'm brave. I'm sick of home. I'm... not fooling anybody. I don't get it. I can't stand it. Come on. Sacred blossoms, hurry up and make me king. I don't want to feel small anymore. Everyone feels small when they're alone. But you're not alone, sweetie. You never were. Mom? The village elder, everyone. What are you all doing here? Why do you look so cool? Well, kiddo. We've, kind of been secretly following you since you left. There were lots of monsters and such we had to defeat as we went to keep them away from you, so we may have gained some loot and levels along the way, or quite a lot of both, actually. Whoa, then that means that I didn't do anything by myself. That's not true, sweetie. You found the secret of our village treasure. You traveled all over Floria, saw and learned so many new things, made so many new friends. Everyone who met you had such nice things to say. You left so many smiles in your wake. We are all so proud of you, Strelitz. Mom, It's okay to cry, sweetie. It's okay to be scared, and to miss home, and to want to do things on your own, too. Those feelings are all part of growing up, and kids your age have lots of that to do. Though I hope we're proof you never stop growing, so there's no rush. You can become a level 99 Apocalypse Knight at 30 or 40, or when you're 99 yourself. We'll always be your home, Strelitz. We'll always do our best to keep you safe. But if you ever need more space to spread your super awesome demon wings, just say the word. We'll cheer you on from sidelines as far back as makes you happy, kiddo. No matter what quest you choose. Even if I still want to be king of hell? If you want a career in government, Strelitz, we'll support you. In Foul Abyss or Sleepy Village, both. Just, if you decide to pursue local office, don't challenge the village elder to a fight for it. He's basically a demigod now. Everyone, I really, all of you, it's good to be home. Okay. I am a sensitive snowflake. I do have to clear the tears from my eyes. But while that scene is really good, I think it's entirely undeserved, and I'm hesitant to critique the story so hard because every other story is so good that I feel like I must be missing something here. But I also think that my review would be incomplete if I did not discuss Strelitz's story. Strelitz didn't set out on his journey because he was lonely. He set out to gain power because he felt like no one took him seriously, and he thought everyone in town was boring. Then he has some fairy librarian treat him like a silly kid and dupe him with a fake lily. He does have some character development when meeting Penny and Deony, where he appreciates their craft. Same when OreKid compliments his vocabulary and Strelitz takes some pride in it. Strelitz grows to appreciate mundane things, but that doesn't tie into his true wish here. His true wish doesn't tie into his journey. Sure, Strelitz felt scared in the mines before OreKid found him, and Strelitz learned that help from others is really nice when accepting Yosoti's help. But there's no one in Strelitz's journey that challenges his wish for being something that would make him lonely. Rosalia could have been that. We could have had some dialogue where Strelitz remarks he wants to have full control over his own domain, same as how Rosalia is the final keeper of the royal garden, so that everyone would have to give him the attention he deserves. And Rosalia could lament that it's a very lonely duty, that he's the first to visit the garden since the fall of the kingdom, and she wishes she still had family and friends to enjoy life with. Then she could challenge Strelitz's wish on the premise that he doesn't fully understand what he wants yet, instead of just that it's a bad wish. Of course, I also think some rewrites for the other scenes could help with that. I don't really think the scene with Strelitz thinking his elders are boring works. It's a funny joke, but unless I just don't understand what the story is going for, I think it distracts from it. Focus solely on Strelitz wanting attention instead. Have Penny and Deony say that what makes their friendship special is that they're equal to each other. Daize's lines are good, and then use Yosoti to reinforce Strelitz's wish, but instead from the perspective that he can use his position of power to give other people joy just as they do as a performer. Now I would know what Strelitz wants going into the crash against Rosalia, and I would be excited to see it through. Now, Strelitz's final wish would actually tie into his journey. I still love Strelitz's character and story, and that's a huge part of why I wish it was done as well as the other characters. Anyway, to prove I really like this game after ragging on it for a bit, let's go through Penny and Deony's story. My twin brother Deony, my twin sister Penny, is the coolest person I know. We never met our parents when they dumped the two of us together on a doorstep. We were left with nothing but each other. This Penny and the kindness of the old seamstress who took us in. Deony is the one who stitched what gifts we had into a life. Penny is the one who made this little shop our home. Without him always staying calm and focused, his hard work and amazing sewing talent. Without her always being so brave and cheerful. Without her energy and business skills. I don't know what I'd do. I'm shy and anxious. Because of me, Penny always has to be so strong, to be the one we both rely on. Deony is so mature, adult enough for both of us. He never complains, but I'm sure it's really stressful. So when I found out our peony is one of the 7 flowers that together grant your wish. So when a customer told Penny that she's wearing a legendary sacred blossom on her hat for years, I knew that we had to use it to find our parents. I've never needed anyone but Deony, but when I told him my wish, he was thrilled. He must have been so lonely. Penny is all I need, but she was so excited about finding our parents. She must think about them a lot. It might not be my wish, but to make him smile, it's not what I would wish for, but to make her happy, I'd do anything. Come on, Deony, a week or 2 away from work is worth this for sure. Yeah, let's do it, Penny. I love them too, and I love that this story starts off by showing the player that neither sibling truly wishes for parents. They just want to show their appreciation for their sibling and make them happy. Even though you could play in any order you wanted, it's most likely that the player will start with Lilibri and Strelitz's story, and the writing reacts accordingly by letting the player in on what makes their wish flawed from the very start. In Lilibri's story, we learn that her wish is flawed as she does, but Zach assumes the player knows what's up by now, and that everyone's wish is flawed, and actually uses the unique dynamic that Penny and Deony provide by having them tell the player that it's not their true wish from the start. Penny and Deony barely interact with Lilibri, unfortunately, but when they get to Strelitz's village, they agree to babysit Strelitz so his moms can have a date night, because everybody needs a break sometimes, even from work they love, for people that they love. And after putting Strelitz to bed, Penny and Deony both say, I have to work harder so Deony can take a break. I have to work harder. Penny deserves to take it easy. Both of them love their jobs together, but think the other must be overwhelmed and have decided to go on a quest because they love the other. Already you can tell that their journey is going to be them discovering their sibling's true wish is the same as their own. That truly, they both just wish for their sibling to be happy. It's just so cute. And again, I just really appreciate the forwardness from Zach, knowing not to keep trying to pull the same trick on the player, instead trusting them to be invested in how Penny and Deony learn to communicate their feelings with each other. Upon reaching OreKid's mines, Penny and Deony decide to take a shortcut through them. And OreKid doesn't actually contribute to any development, outside of Penny basically robbing him for the OreKid. Instead, the mines are used to make both Penny and Deony feel afraid, and Deony starts to realize that Penny is putting on a brave face to make him feel better. Deony gets the wrong message from that, though, and thinks that he needs to be strong for Penny. But at least he's learning that there's more to Penny than what she's willing to show. That she is also keeping some of her feelings guarded from Deony in a misguided attempt to make him feel better. I really like this. OreKid herself may not have had any impact on their development, but unlike the other characters, Penny and Deony are on this journey together. And it would have been a shame if Zach didn't use Penny and Deony's unique situation to have them learn from each other. Plus, it works better thematically, since their story is all about learning to communicate with each other, that they would learn there's more to what each of them is letting on by making observations about each other. Next, we have Daize tell Deony outright that they're both thinking shyly, and when questioned by Yosoti, they're unable to describe what their parents would be like. And finally, we have Penny take notice that Deony is entirely consumed by passion for his work. I think the Daize scene could have benefited by having Penny and Deony's roles swapped, so that Penny would have been who Daize told about Deony's thoughts, but then you'd have to figure out a fake errand to match Deony's passion, and you could have it where Deony stitches Daize a coat or whatever in return for the daisy, but that'd be pretty tricky to write dialogue for that wouldn't undermine Daize's character. So I think it's good enough that Penny gets a moment to see how passionate Deony is about designing clothes when they meet Yosoti. Also, not as obvious this time, but Yosoti usually reinforces everyone's wish, so her showing doubt that either of the twins truly wish for their parents is, yet again, a subversion of expectations. I am Rosalia, last knight of the kingdom and protector of the royal garden. You who have gathered 6 of the 7 sacred blossoms, state your wish, that I might measure your... There's 2 of you? Then, forgive me, which of you should I address? Prepared a speech of sorts. Ha! Even Rosalia's expectations get subverted. And Rosalia also proves that this story isn't about Penny or Deony's wish. It's about them growing to communicate with each other, because Rosalia doesn't challenge their wish, but their shared resolve. The wish in this story could have been replaced with literally anything, and it would not matter because this isn't a story about how flawed Penny or Deony's wish is, it's about them not needing it in the first place. And, learning to communicate. And once again, the Hyper Lilibri scene doesn't really add anything. Librarians are the scariest and strongest species in the whole wide world. Then what does that make twins? It's really happening. We're really about to make our wish. Are you so excited, Deony? Of course. Everything was for this moment. It's everything you hoped it would be. Right, sis? Yeah, for sure. That's great. I'm glad. What's up? Don't hold back on my account if you want to celebrate. Here, you can even use my megaphone. That's not it. I'm just a little nervous is all. In a good way, though. I wonder what having parents will be like. I hadn't really stopped to picture that until now. Huh? Really? Well, they're so fucking cute. They're so cute. I love these two. Me neither. Guess we'll just have to find out. Penny. Well, it's fine. I have fun following, even if you haven't thought through where you're headed. Don't be silly, Deony. You're the wind in my sails in the first place. Plus, you keep 'em patched to boot. What's that look for? Come on. Save the sniffles for after we get our wish. Right. Together, then? Together. You hear that, Sacred Blossoms? We want to find our family, so... For Penny. For Deony. Grant our wish. So cute. Nothing's happening. What the heck? What a ripoff. Why is our wish a big dang dud? Rosalia was right. If it's supposed to be a heart's true wish. But one of our hearts wasn't in it, then... Oh no, Deony. If that's the problem, then... It's all my fault. No way, sis. No one's got more heart than you. It's me dragging us down. I want it for you, really, but... I just can't truly wish to meet our parents like you do. What? But that's the whole point of this quest. I know. I'm sorry. No, I mean this whole quest was for you, Deony. I don't care about stinking parents. I care about you caring. I'm sorry? I only pushed so hard for us to take this trip because you worked so hard and never asked for anything. But that's you. Weren't you the one who needed a vacation? Weren't you lonely? Huh? How could I be? I've got you! That's my line. No, mine! It's mine. Looks like it's ours then, Deony. We were on the same page the whole time, sis. The wrong one. Maybe that's for the best. I'm starting to think we both needed this vacation, even if we didn't find our family. Yeah, that's okay. After all, I never lost mine. Plus, we can totally sell our story's stage play adaptation rights for stacks of cash. Come on, Deony, let's go home. Oh, Penny, I never left. Aren't they just the cutest? This is how the me's in my head interact, and I love them for it. I love that they ask their sibling if this is everything they hoped for. I love that they finally communicate how they feel because they're worried they ruined their sibling's wish. I love that they learn this isn't what they truly wish for. I love that they learned that they didn't need a wish in the first place. Because their sibling didn't either. They just needed each other. Their story is so amazing. Next on our list is the one and only OreKid. She assumes you chose her story first and then admits she doesn't have meta-narrative context and doesn't know if she's your first story or not. Which means it would be really funny if OreKid does have meta-narrative context in the next game and is happy if you choose her first or disappointed if you don't. Just putting it out there that I would love that.
It all started right now with this text box, and not any earlier, when I found a magic flower underground. Now, digging up cool things is not exactly new for me. That's how I got the nickname OreKid in the first place. I've unearthed gold, gems, ancient sealed evils, the holy bones of heroes past, you know, routine stuff. But an orchid thriving in mine? Without sunlight? Like, are you kidding me? That's earth-shaking, man. Well, it shook me, at least. At least enough for me to shake the boredom funk I've been in for now. At least. Okay, so maybe I'm a little at my least across the board. But hey, at least with this, I've got something new to do for a dang change. I'm talking about a quest. A quest to find out what's the heck is the deal. Yeah, that's gotta keep me entertained. I'm getting really bored of being bored.
Oh no, this gal doesn't even have a wish. In fact, it's only now in the middle of my script that I finally figured out what I think is going on with her story. And of course, that brings up concerns that maybe I just don't get what's going on with Strelitz's story, or maybe I'm deriving meaning from OreKid's story where there is none because I've reread it like 4 times, and that does not really matter. Art is a language used to communicate ideas, and there will be misunderstandings. Reviews are like a game of telephone. I can only tell you what I noticed and what meaning or value I derive from that. I could watch other reviews or seek other people's opinions in order to share those too, but that's not what I want to do with my videos. I want to share my experience with you and hopefully spark unique discussion. That's why I make videos about under-discussed messaging in Doom, and why when I take a little break from that, I decided to discuss a game that I believe deserves more attention. OreKid has no wish, but that doesn't mean no one's wish gets fulfilled this story. In fact, quite the opposite. Everyone's wish gets fulfilled, to middling degrees. OreKid gets better at granting others' wishes later into her story. Lilibri provides guidance to OreKid that she won't get anywhere on a whim. You need a wish, and challenges OreKid to make a goal and complete it, or how I see it now, make a wish and fulfill it. OreKid then gives Strelitz a couple swords, and is actually inspired by Strelitz's passion for his wish to try and find her own. Penny and Deony don't really have a wish to fulfill, and I have no clue what this line is supposed to mean. Scammed, but the scam would probably be getting something else instead. And, oh shit, we haven't talked about the other character stories yet. So I'll go ahead and spoil what each character wishes for at the beginning of their journey. Daize wants enough money to not have to worry about how the capital class treats their workers. Yosoti wants to put on a performance that will never be forgotten, and Rosalia wants to bring the fallen kingdom of Floria's past back to life, into the present. And what each of them wish for at the end. Daize learns he can't truly wish to become rich, something he'd hate himself for. Instead, he wants to organize the workers in his city against the owning class and create a Marxist revolution. Slay, my man. Yosoti learns that her dance has been influenced by dancers before her, proving that they're not forgotten, and wants to continue evolving that dance for future generations and share it with the world. Hope you can see how that ties into my Doom videos. And Rosalia learns to grow from the past and open access to the royal garden and sacred blossoms to help hope bloom in the hearts of Floria again. I have so much to say about those guys, but OreKid first. OreKid gives Daize enough money to share with everyone else in his community, sort of a middle ground between Daize's wish at the beginning of just getting free from the system and his true wish to tear down capitalism. OreKid then has a breakdown because she doesn't know what she wants, and Daize distracts her with a Petal crash, and then asks her to finish her journey and come back to celebrate once she's figured out her wish. OreKid then says goodbye to her only friend and continues on, where she meets Yosoti, who is inspired by OreKid's selfishness during her quest to shed the burdens of her past and pass its priceless treasures on to the loam where wishes grow. This is superb. At this point, OreKid is granting people's true wishes, a true genie really, and making friends along the way who can see OreKid's heart, and are encouraging her on her journey to find it for herself. I also like her line about getting dust of ages up her nose, since it follows Yosoti's line about it being the seed for wishes. Ants.
Achoo! Ugh. Either I'm allergic to the forget-me-not, or I got some dust of ages up my nose.
Rosalia does not gel with OreKid because OreKid is a bit disrespectful towards what Rosalia considers her duty. And by this time, OreKid actually offers up the sacred blossoms to Rosalia. Rosalia refuses though because she wants to give OreKid a chance to find her wish, and commences a Petal crash to decide who keeps them. OreKid's inability to find her wish eggs Rosalia on to use the sacred blossoms in order to help OreKid find it, fulfilling every character's wish. And if you've been paying attention to the video, I hope you've noticed that this marks the first time that OreKid has used capital letters. Rosalia is able to prick OreKid's skin, and she almost cracks from Rosalia's jabs at her rhetorical armor. Only one wish remains, And with that, one of the only times I think Hyper Lilibri adds something meaningful to these stories.
I don't get it. If I don't want anything, why do I keep fighting? Why do I keep winning? Well, here I am, right before the credits, all 7 collected thingies in my hand, but it looks like the lily isn't reacting to the garden like it's supposed to. You and me both, buddy. I won it all, but still feel lost. I did everything else right, so what's left is something wrong with me.
Actually, it's my fault.
Whoa, hey! I remember you. You're that librarian, little bee.
That's close, but...
But only a guise. In reality, you were my fairy godmother all along. Just like the bad kind. A cruel fairy devil mother that stole my heart's true wish instead of granting it. Wow, to think all my problems had such a simple explanation.
No, that's not it at all. I just gave you a fake lily instead of the real one, then followed you here in secret.
Pleading guilty to lesser charges? You're only digging yourself deeper, bub. Add 'em to the rap sheet.
This is why I did it. You weren't ready to take your quest seriously. I had to see the side of you humor hides. That and I wasn't ready either. Not to seriously take you on, and not to show the side of me I'm hiding. I guess we're not so different, you and I.
I'm like you? You're like me?
Yes, the truth is, I'm secretly very passionate about my passions. I get too excited, especially about Petal crashing. Oh, I just overflow with joy. It's so embarrassing.
Sounds rough.
Yes, but I feel much better getting everything off my chest. Now I can truly give you my all. That includes the real Lily, of course, if you've been hiding skill that can match mine. Lilibri is right. Both her and OreKid hide their passions from other people out of insecurity, and it's only fitting that the thing to finally crack OreKid's armor is someone else shining through theirs.
Defeating my exact opposite is good final challenge. If my evil mirror twin's that nerdy, I must be really cool. Hi-ho, it's wishing time, baby. Aw, yeah. I hope I dig what I picked to be mine. Yuck, yuck. Who am I kidding? Well, OreKid, literally nobody, since you're making jokes alone in the dang dark. Same as ever. There's no running from it anymore, now that I've run all this way straight towards it. Towards what? Was I ever chasing anything? Or maybe did get this far just by running away. From what? Am I really that afraid of being bored? Or is boredom what makes me face something worse? I don't know, man. Everybody seemed to think my real deal is that I have a buried wish deep down. If only I could trust I'll dig it up like they do. Can a heart really have a wish that mine can't reach? I guess I'll get an answer to that question, at the least. Here goes literally nothing. Sacred blossoms, if I have one, if you can see it, even though I can't. Please, help me, more than anything. I want to find my wish. Oh, OreKid looks so cool there.
OreKid is cute.
Yeah, thought so. Nothing doing. Guess this ain't the sort of system you can game. So it's game over for this gamer girl. Just great. My epic fails right at the finish. Ha! I'm actually disappointed, huh? Looks like I let my guard down after all. I joked about wishing for more wishes way back when, but here's me now, truly wishing for just one. That's funny. As soon as you wish for a wish, boom, you got one. Wish granted. Ha. Ha ha. Ha ha. Come on, OreKid, you dork. You're not gonna be satisfied with just that, are you? No, of course not. I'll keep searching. I'm a treasure hunter. That's just what I do. Wishing for a wish isn't the end. It's the means to get me where I'm going. It's what got me where I've been. But I won't keep the search going forever so that I can hide from myself. I'll keep it going so that one day it can end, so that I can find myself. Heck, I caught a glimpse already, a glimpse beneath the armor I've been wearing. Banging my head against this quest made me just crack, but that showed me something dazzling underneath. In light of all the dark stuff I've dug through, I shine. I'm one of a kind, a treasure worth holding on to. Yeah, I'll hold on. I'll keep chipping away until I see my every facet. So hey, you better hold on too, because at the very, very least, the best stories about me just begun.
I feel like a lot of people can relate to OreKid. I myself had a time in my life where I didn't know what I was doing or even who I wanted to be, and buried myself in humor and helping other people because I didn't know how to help myself. Of course, you can't maintain relationships if you don't let anyone see the true you. Eventually, they will realize there's either nothing beneath your skin, or if they're smarter, that you're not willing to show your heart. Eventually, the two friends I had made, somehow, who helped me out of homelessness, had to move to college. Lucky me then made friends with a gal who saw through the cracks in my skin, and pretty quickly actually I started being me around her. She was the first person to know my name. Hell, most people actually know me by the name she gave me. Unfortunately, we fell out of contact for a while, one of us working 60 plus hours, and the other working full-time and taking college courses. It's then that everyone got to see me. Sometimes you have to be at the end of your road to realize you can just get out of the car, out of your armor. I now have so many friends and a loving partner, all of whom may never have met me if things were any different. I really look forward to future stories with OreKid, or whatever her real name is. Obviously, I really like Daize, but I don't really have much to say about his story. He follows the same structure as Lilibri and Strelitz, and with each character he meets learns something that brings him closer to figuring out his true wish. Lilibri introduces him to the idea of public resources, Strelitz reinforces Daize's belief that community is worth fighting for, Penny and Deony again don't serve as much other than being the cutest duo ever. OreKid gives Daize the idea to use his wish to help more than just himself. Yosoti tells Daize that his community has hope because it has him, and breaks my heart. Literally, I lost the Petal crash against her. So, no hyper Lilibri fight after this, but let's continue on with the video. Daize then laments that one man can't bring the change he wants, but still believes that money is the solution to that. But of course Rosalia challenges that more eloquently than I ever could. One night can't fix what ages wrought, cannot reverse an age's rot. Wealth might buy you time and fleeting comfort, but no, my kingdom's riches faded into the ruins you see before you. Now that's pretty hypocritical coming from her since she wishes for pretty much the same thing, but I actually like that. Most anti-socialist people either think that just because a fascist regime has socialist in their name, that that's what socialism is, or think that any system outside of capitalism just wouldn't work. However, Rosalia still acknowledges that the old kingdom of Floria withered and died because a society obsessed with riches will inevitably fall. Capitalism as a system rewards people who already have capital because they can use that capital to procure more capital. You have a house? Buy another house and rent out your old one. Now you're getting a significant amount of money without working. This creates wealth inequality as the rich get richer off the capital they already have. This is obviously bad. No one should have more than one house when others don't have any. It's a system that rewards people not for what they provide to society, but what they take from it. And it sucks wealth from the common person towards those that are fortunate to inherit familial fortunes. As this inequality grows and the common person is unable to afford common living amenities, it becomes more and more unsustainable, just like the kingdom Rosalia wishes to resurrect. And just like her, many people in real life don't believe any other system would work, and instead wish to reverse the flow of time to how things used to be. Rosalia represents a paradox that many people believe, and it's heartbreaking. Can't say I know what good my wish is worth, but I know my home's worth fixin', which makes wishing worth a try.
Well, how about that? Look who went all the lifelong way, or the livelong way. And they say hard work doesn't pay off. Nah, it doesn't. Not like this. That's luck that got me this far. Keeps me going. Before I'd ever left. Yeah, the luck of meeting so many kind people, of having their support when I had nothing else. Lilibri's books, laughs and snacks from the OreKid, Yosoti having faith in me, every blossom I was trusted with. Everyone who lent a couch to crash on, swapped shifts and stories, gave me hope they didn't have themselves. I owe my fortune to the folks that paid it forward. If any of their hard work built it, it was theirs. Enough cash to cover that debt wouldn't be plenty. I want to make some change to make a change. I want to be rich until nobody back home's poor. If that ain't too much to ask, then heck, it's what I'm asking. If you hear me, Sacred Blossoms, grant my wish. Funny thing about dice, you're empty-handed from the second that you roll them. Shoulda known. At least I got to play the game. Play and imagine winning. Imagine what I'd change if my wish worked. That's how they keep you sweet in their pot, huh? Having you imagine one day you'll be rich like them. Maybe that's why I'm still broke. A true heart's wish could never make me something that I hate. They took our dignity from us, made us buy into the lottery they rigged to earn it back. Kept us trained on hope, instead of the hurt that makes us need it. I never needed money. Neither did my city. Everything we need, everything I love about it, we already had. Already cooked, composed, cultivated, already built. It's the wealthy who need workers, need us playing by their rules. My true wish is to reclaim what they stole, all the work we put into our home that went into their pockets. We'll break their rules, flip the table if we gotta, to end the game. We'll start a revolution. And then we'll do what we do best, work together to make something no one could alone. Like OreKid has, food and a roof, not for sale but for sharing. Like a library, no one profits, only public good. Yeah, I reckon we can build a world like that. Call me an optimist, but if you don't think we can, we'll want to make a bet.
I fucking love this guy. This is a message that I think so many people could benefit from hearing. I know way too many people who've bought into the whole capitalist thing of trying to put yourself above other people, and it only leads to them losing all their friends. And honestly, it seems like their sanity is lost too. People would be so much better off if they realized that higher-ups, subordinates, it's all bullshit. We're all equal, only separated into different classes by the inhumanity of others who sold their life to a system that makes them miserable. If you're lonely, consider how many people you think are below you. If it's more than 0, change your perspective, and that's at least one prospective friend. If you feel powerless, build community with your peers. I live in a city that voted 75% for the guy that wants to take away my legal status, and I still have more friends that I can keep up with. Reevaluate your values. If empathy for other people and consideration for their perspective is not in there, change. Make those values. Be social, get out there. There's so many friends to make. Don't hide behind humor or cynicism. That hurts you more than anyone else. If you do that, and you're lonely, it's your fault. People can't make friends with you if you don't let them into your heart on equal footing. I'm born into the cradle of a legacy. A name enlights the second my eyes open. When my mother takes the stage, that name is hers. She dances, and the people cheer, Yosoti. She tells me about my grandpa. the Yosoti before her. To my mother, the name's his, and only borrowed. I follow their path, learning, loving dance. How couldn't I, having seen the joy its beauty brings? My mother's last performance is breathtaking, but then it ends, and it's my name that fills the absent air. She smiles proudly when she puts her flower in my hair. I don't know if it's envy in her eyes or shame in mine. The whispers swirl in whirlwinds, till I make my true debut, and then suddenly, all at once, I'm Yosoti, the brightest, most beloved star in Floria. You knew that, though, right? You are my biggest fan. The spotlight is my sun. It's where and why I've grown and flourished. But I am aware that sun must someday set. When that happens, I want to be remembered, not like the rest of my long lineage before me. Luckily, my forget-me-not is more than just a fancy floral hand-me-down. It's a magical, mystical, sacred blossom. If I gather all 7 in its set into a big bouquet, they grant my wish, putting on an unforgettable performance. One grand enough to show I'm worthy for more reasons than just being the latest branch of a famous family tree. To prove that worth lives on long after the applause dies. Well, that's the plan as I've rehearsed it in my head. Worst comes to worst, I'll improvise a step or two. That's actually such a funny intro. Yosoti lays out all that leads to their true wish, but does not put the pieces together that their parents will never be forgotten because their dance has inspired Yosotis, and presumably many others, and instead thinks that they need to put on an unforgettable performance to be remembered forever. Like, Sib, what? You put all the pieces on the board, and then walked away. Let's do the quick rundown. Lilibri tells Yosoti about Yosoti's prior, and proves that they've not just been lost to time. Of course, Yosoti thinks dancers need motion to be alive. Completely forgetting what motion she first learned, Yosoti then gets to inspire Strelitz to dance, despite him feigning uninterest. Then Penny proves that, apparently the Yosotis before did go the way of the dinos. But Yoshi takes it as inspiration that there's still people out there who will know their name as their own. OreKid is unhelpful, but at least they don't understand each other. It is cute that Yosoti misunderstands OreKid, but really appreciates them anyway, in both their story and her story. I want more of these two. Give them something like PennyDeony story where they go on a journey together and learn to communicate with each other. I feel like there's a lot of room for Yosoti and OreKid's relationship to grow. And then Comrade Daize connects the dots for Yosoti, letting them know that it's pretty privileged of them to wish to be remembered on their own merits, instead of just by their family name, when their fans, the workers who grind at their jobs to their dust, won't be remembered by anything. That Yosoti could use their wish to change that and see that everyone is remembered. Rosalia... Oh, here's the guy that baited me into getting this game in the first place. See, before making Petal Crash, Friend and Fairy developed a game called Grapple Force Arena. It's a really cute game, has dialogue that makes me chuckle more than Petal Crash does, and it's a 2D platformer with a really unique gimmick. Can you guess what the gimmick is? Anyway, it caught my eye because I predominantly play 2D platformers, and I had a fun casual playthrough, and might have tried my hand at the ranking system, but there's this character that's super cute, and I'm dying that I could only find like 2 pieces of fan art for him. And this is that character. Say, hi Arlet. And when I found out that I could play as Arlet in a versus game against my friends, I was sold. Unfortunately, he's an unlockable character, and in order to unlock him, you have to score a chain of 7 or more in any crash before the last Sacred Blossom. Then he'll appear before the crash for the last Sacred Blossom, and if you beat him in the Petal Crash, he's unlocked for all play outside of the story. This is my first time encountering Arlet, so I was pretty fucking excited, and also really nervous because he has his own unique AI package, and the wiki listed him as one of the most difficult AIs. And if you lose this fight, you can't use a continue to retry it. But I beat him, and I was so fucking happy. There is one other unlockable character, and that's Lilibri's form when she lets her passions loose, dubbed Hyper Lilibri. It's unlocked if you beat Hyper Lilibri, and can be accessed as an alternate skin for Lilibri. Anyway, Rosalia is the perfect foil to Yosoti. Both of them want to make sure the past stays in motion, but upon Rosalia's gander that past Yosotis have influenced Florian dance to this day, Yosoti finally learns that the past does have motion, and when they dance, the Yosotis prior dance with them. It's a really nice sentiment that art is never forgotten because the artists it influences will continue to grow, evolve, and continue its legacy. It's the idea that even if an artist doesn't know the messaging of the inspiration, which is really dumb to assume, that their inspiration still lives on through their art, and the art of future generations from which they inspire. I don't think there are any artists that don't take inspiration from others. I even consider it a treat to visit my favorite artist's inspiration and see what they carried over from it. And so I find it very disappointing that certain gaming communities try to hide from the art that inspired their favorite games. Get ready to take a bow, Sacred Blossoms. We've made it to the denouement. Except the lily isn't reacting like the others. What's wrong, little one? Stage fright got you down? I think the problem's more that it's less performer than it is a prop. A scientific replica, to be exact. I was kinda sorta keeping the real one as an excuse for, well, this. Another meaningful meeting with me? Well, I can't blame you for that. But you didn't need a fake lily to get my attention, Lilibri. Just a smile and a wave's more than enough. Ah, you remembered my name. I'm sorry, Yosoti. I have a bad habit of overthinking things so much I end up holding back. My true Petal Crash skills, the reward you earned regardless, even the full extent of my fangirling. Oh, that last one I picked up on fine. Well, I'm not gonna hold back anymore, so you don't have to hold back your frustration with me either. Why? But I'm not upset about what you did in the slightest. Really? But for your whole quest was for this moment, when you'd get your wish and I stepped in and spoiled it. I wonder, is that really how the Sacred Blossoms work? Their magic isn't so far from our mundane. It's of and in the world, born because of and returned to it. The journey grants your wish as much as what you've gathered by the end. That's what I feel. Or what I had to feel deep down from the beginning. If the blossoms were some separate thing, a flash of will that scoffs at nature's laws, I would have hoped for something that I know to be impossible, however much my heart wishes it weren't. You've been holding back too, haven't you? It wasn't what you stand to gain moving you. It's what you've lost, isn't it? Yosoti, you're more than a footnote or chapter's worth of history in the making. A book like, well, we're all right. Deserves a happy ending. Let's let our full hearts loose upon its pages. As usual, nothing super pertinent to Yosoti's story, but I do actually really like that Yosoti acknowledges that the Sacred Blossoms don't contain any more power than the faith someone has in them. Here they are, the last few steps. Alas, a dance must end for it to earn applause. It's been a blur, this quest, but the hidden groves where my ancestors' memory lives on remain clear in my vision. Lilibri's library, Rosalia's heart. I'm glad the name I bear's great past can be its present in these places. And yet, I've gained more than just that humble hope already, haven't I? Everything's been building to this moment. That's true of more things than I'd ever dreamed it was before this journey. My wish didn't begin with me, its granting, too, grows wild over our brief presence fence, into before and after. That said, this moment's where I live, my only time to shine. For now, I'll put on the best show that I can. Sacred Blossoms, that's your cue. As this performance's finale, grant my wish. It's more clear now than ever. My ancestors and many others surely shared my wish. Art is a seed we plant to give our feelings form to others, so that in them, fleeting facets of ourselves flourish long into the future, reach for forever's heights. My robots are theirs, I'm their lives' fruit. How can I, standing here, claim their wish wasn't granted? What I want passed down won't fit within one unforgettable performance. I won't fit in one name. No, when it's our time to leave the stage, it's the whole world that holds our memory. Flowers scatter seeds, become the soil where they grow, an endless cycle. Impermanence begets eternal life. I think now, at long last, I can believe that. I want to see more of the world your life was part of. I want to see the seeds you planted fully grown. If I follow in your footsteps, we can still dance like we used to. Mom, you're by my side. You never left. I already spoke about artists living on for who they influence, but I'd like to add that I'm glad to see every facet of Yosoti's journey contributing to their wish by having them decide to perform everywhere, just like their ancestors, and learn from other cultures and people so they can share them with the world. They end up having a journey that has as many loose threads as Strelitz's, but in the end, they all come together. I can feel it. The end is near. Only one more story left. But let's take a break real quick to discuss what the game has to offer outside of its story. Mostly because when I unlocked Arlet, I had to take a detour from the stories to test them out. Let's take a look at the characters first, though. Each story character comes with an alternate costume, and some of these, like Strelitz's, look really fucking cute. The only one I'm not fond of really is Lilibri's alternate colors, but she has a completely unique sprite set for a Hyper Lilibri to mix things up with, so I have no reason to complain. It's also a really nice touch that Penny and Deony have standalone costumes as well, and oh, it feels so good to see Arlet take a spot with the rest of the cast. But that's only 9 out of 14 playable characters. Where are the rest? By holding the button to change costumes, you reveal the cameo characters Libby, Baz, Mila, Mimi, and Nova, each with their own alternate color scheme, of which I really like Nova's. Unfortunately, they don't have unique AIs, with the exception that Nova will alternate between the different AIs every 30 seconds, and Mimi will mirror whoever the opponent's AI is, or choose a random AI if the player is also Mimi. Otherwise, Libby uses Yosoti's AI, and the Baz uses Strelitz's. All of these characters and alternate costumes are available in every game mode outside of the story, of which there's the usual score attack mode that pretty much every puzzle game has, where you try to get the highest score you can under a time limit, but Petal Crash has a few variations on that mode. Time Trial is the standard mode where you're given a board, a time limit, and don't have to worry about any opponents. Then there's Chain Trial, where every chain you make resets the board and you're given a limited amount of boards. Turn Trial, where you have limited moves, and the most infuriating one, Trash Trial, which doesn't limit anything, but instead automatically sends you garbage based off a multiplier that affects both how much garbage you receive and how fast it sends you garbage, making this a challenge that gets exponentially more difficult as it goes on. I want to really like this mode, but I really wish it was more modifiable, because this mode has garbage instantly drop from your queue instead of taking 4 turns to materialize, which I really dislike. I feel like it could easily be my favorite score attack mode, if only the game provided me the ability to change the garbage options for this mode. But these score attack modes do have some options. All of them let you choose between a full board or a mini board, and whether you want turbo mode or not. Those are kinda self-explanatory. I know I explain continues, but I trust you to understand what these mean. Time Trial lets you customize how much time you have. Chain Trial, how many boards you have. Turn Trial, how many moves you have. And Trash Trial lets you customize the base size of each wave before the multiplier. I understand having limited customization here so your audience isn't having too many super specific leaderboards they're competing in, especially with an indie game, but I would like more customization. And for anyone looking at my scores, relax, I've played these modes more on my phone than my computer. Thanks to Ashley for uploading the APK to the Friend and Fairy Discord. That's honestly my favorite way to play unless I'm with friends, though you should probably delete that message so no one pirates your game since the APK is available on itch.io now. Speaking of which, I find it so funny that Petal Crash has been ported to PlayStation, Switch, iOS, and Android, and is even getting an arcade cabinet, but never got an Xbox support, which, oh my fucking gosh, if I saw a Petal Crash arcade cabinet at my local arcade, I'd lose my mind. Honestly, would want one for my house too. Also, thank you to the Petal Crash community for making your own wiki outside of fandom. I hate fandom. But why is there no Wikipedia page for Petal Crash? Transbot for the Sega Master System gets a Wikipedia page, but not Petal Crash? What's this game even about, actually? Transbot. Someone made an HD port of this game to Unity? Back in 1985, Sega released a game that would eventually go on to be completely ignored by everyone, with a concept to try and cash in on the then huge popularity of the Transformers and arcade games. Would be one of the initial batches of titles released for the Master System, and part of the small print run of games to be released on small plastic cards. It's taken a while, all good things kinda do, but here's the triumphant return of the king of totally ignored games, now 3 times its original size and with more Easter eggs than a sweet shop in March. Cool. That sounds fucking sick, actually. So, what's happening? Said the viewer who's here for a Petal Crash video. It seemed like things were finally starting to get back together after the nuclear war of the solar year 2000. People had emerged from their underground shelters, they built new towns, new forms of transportation, an all-new society. But something has gone wrong. Daize, an artificial intelligence computer left over the now defunct regime, is creating a dictatorial empire. Daize is already gaining control of one city, and it's rumored that many of the guards are actually working for Daize. I fucking hate that name. The only thing that can stop this treacherous takeover is the new California 214. A sophisticated transforming combat astroplane. The only person who can pilot this high-performance machine is you. Gotta be trans to pilot the transbot. It's like Evangelion. Gotta have a good synchronization rate. Gotta understand the bot's desire to trans. I love that even really obscure art can have a huge influence on people, and even those people will continue to share it and expand upon it with their own. I didn't expect to find another great argument for art bearing immortal influence when looking for some obscure game on the Master System with a Wikipedia article to jab at Petal Crash over. But here we are. From Transformers, to Transbot, to a retro gaming website's mascot, to a modern remake, to this video, to you. And maybe I'll give it a video review of its own someday. Anyway, while I love sharing obscure media, it's easier to introduce people to a game when it has a multiplayer mode. And thankfully, Transbot does! This was supposed to be the segue to Petal Crash's multiplayer. Thankfully, Petal Crash does! There's both a versus and co-op 2-player mode, though they pretty much work the same, and a versus CPU mode where you can play against the unique AIs not featured in the story. The two versus modes work pretty similar, albeit one very obvious difference. And the 2-player co-op mode is just the same, except you and your partner's scores are tallied into one. These modes are where Petal Crash shines the brightest for me because they have so many different ways to customize the game. Of course, there are the basic options such as Turbo Mode and the CPU difficulty level, and a few standard game modes to choose from. Tug of War is what the story uses, and we already went over that. Trash Attack used to be my favorite. I really liked that when you clear garbage it turns into a colored block of whatever color cleared it. I've actually done some really cool chains using that, and it's another thing my friends hate. I'm not a fan of it dropping garbage instantly though, and removing the battle bar removes a lot of strategic gameplay. So as I got better at Petal Crash and messed around with the custom mode, I made my own preferred game settings. The last default mode is Clear Contest, and this mode is so lame. There's no garbage, and you only have one hit, which removes so much strategy from the game. At least chains are still useful because they're additive on the battle bar, but I honestly only noticed that because I looked at the wiki. Matches on this mode are very boring and are very short even though the battle bar is extended to 70. So let's get to making our own custom mode. I personally like having the max amount of stocks and turbo mode active. Just makes for longer, frantic matches that I particularly like. Of course, the battle bar stays on. And honestly, I really like its default length. It's just short enough to always have pressure on the player while giving you some breathing room to plan out things when it restarts. Same with DK speed, but sometimes I'll make the battle bar longer and increase the DK speed to compensate. Totally unnecessary though, I don't think it changes the game in any substantial way. Just makes me feel good when I beat a friend by even larger numbers on the battle bar. I also sometimes like having the max chain bonus too, just so chains are rewarded on the battle bar. But honestly, they're rewarded enough with garbage anyway. And I don't know anyone locally who's good enough to face move chains only, so I haven't actually tinkered with that yet. But I imagine that would shake up gameplay quite a bit. When it comes to garbage, you'd think that larger amounts of garbage drops would lead to more frantic play. But honestly, it kind of just works as a cap as to how much you can grow your board if you turn too many of these to the max. Playing with variations of base garbage amounts and chain power is how to do it. I normally like having low base garbage though, and high chain power. Of course, you know I love color clear, and hate instant drop, but there's one more setting, escalation. This setting is the key to frenetic gameplay. After 4 minutes, garbage attack power will start to gradually increase, so if you're struggling to can an opponent, things will eventually get very stressful. Now for the most puzzling mode of all, puzzle mode. Pretty simple. Until it isn't. All the playable characters in the story mode get 25 puzzles each for you to complete, for a total of 175 puzzles. This is where most of my time has been spent, though, again, I have more of these puzzles solved on my phone. Just been clearing them on my PC when I feel like it to get the achievements. The puzzles actually tie into each character's personality too. Lilibri's puzzles are the easiest and a great way of teaching the player how the game works. Strelitz's have a lot of giant flashy chains. PennyDeony's have a lot of pairs and mirrored block layouts. OreKid's require clearing a lot of garbage. Daize's have limited movesets and lots of growing blocks. Yosoti's are all sprite art. Not kidding, it's actually really neat and makes theirs my favorite. And Rosalia's, I haven't actually gotten far enough in to figure out their theming, and unfortunately the wiki doesn't say anything other than that. It's defined by a high difficulty. And I can attest to that. There is one puzzle called Corner Case, and that's such a cute little nod to this game's one weakness. However, there are more puzzles that depend on corner cases, and in the context of the puzzle mode, it actually works. I'll admit, I'm quite satisfied with some of these puzzles with mirrored layouts when I realized I was on the right track. I just needed to mirror my attempts. Sort of becomes a bittersweet mechanic. I love it in some contexts, and hate it in others. These puzzles are actually pretty difficult too, and if you're looking for help from the wiki, well, you fool. This game's Discord has less than 500 members. Good luck. Transbot has more publicity. I guess that's why it gets a Wikipedia page. If you're really having trouble though, I'm sure someone in the Friend and Fairy Discord will help you out. It's a really friendly community. Finally, there's also a puzzle editor, and with this thing you can use any character to create any puzzle imaginable, share them with your friends, or play other people's custom puzzles. I'll admit I haven't really messed around with this since I haven't solved all the vanilla puzzles yet, but the Petal Crash Discord is decently active and there's some custom puzzles to try out floating around there. Anyway, final journey on our journey through Petal Crash. Rosalia's journey. The legend of the Sacred Blossoms long predates the kingdom, and yet we made it ours from founding forward. 7 ever-living blooms, the centerpiece of our great royal garden, in turn the heart of Floria itself. We were proud of their power magic that grants a true heart's wish, held it up as if a mirror to our own. But that golden age is gone. Now I see only myself in their reflection, distorted and stretched thin. I am Rosalia, last knight of the kingdom and protector of the royal garden. Long have I stood vigil while its glory became ruin, waiting to challenge those who'd stain its memory. But none came. The sacred blossoms that had scattered to the wind have not returned in others' hands. None have sought my rose to claim their wish. This won't do. The years my elven heritage has given me, I can't let them go to waste. I'll gather the sacred blossoms, bring them back to the garden, bring the garden back with them. If I must live to watch my kingdom die, then I swear on that life, I'll see it live again. Girl is dumb. You're literally occupying this garden full time and you've let it go to shit? 100% your fault. Rosalia's journey is my personal favorite gameplay-wise because Rosalia was born of the kingdom. She doesn't need to visit Lilibri to find out more about the sacred blossoms before starting her quest and then venture to the royal garden. So she doesn't. Instead, she encounters everyone in reverse order from everyone else's story, and this is really neat because it allows characters like PennyDeony and Strelitz, who on easy or normal, and even hard, are otherwise way too early on in the story to really flex the chips of their AI. I am Rosalia, last knight of the kingdom, and protector of the royal garden. Oh, brother! Is this girl gonna say that line every time? You who bears one of the sacred blossoms, the forget-me-not, in all its glory, I humbly request. A dance? Sure. I love your costume, by the way. It's really giving this festival a splendid Ren Fair spirit. What? No. This is authentic armor, smithed by my heir's greatest. Oh, I can tell you went the extra mile, don't worry. Your commitment to your character's quite clear. I am committed only to my quest. I need all 7 blossoms so that I may wish for my kingdom's revival. I shouldn't presume that I don't need an introduction. I'm Yosoti, the dancer. It's lovely to meet you. Please, I jest not. Unlike the greatest performer that you claim to be, I still walk this land I knew ages ago. You must mean my ancestor, but I didn't. My name and the dance it's famed for were passed down for generations. Tell me, if you got your wish, would the Yosoti of your kingdom's time be brought back too? Well, I'd want to believe so, yes. I can't picture the royal court without their skill to grace it. Wait, then, Yosoti, you believe me after all? Wanting to believe's more than enough. I wouldn't dare wake anyone from such a pleasant dream. Return the favor then, and dance with me. A petal crash minuet. That's a small price for my flower. Huh. That pretty much just redid the conversation Yosoti had with Rosalia at the end of their quest. Fortunately, that's not really how each of these go. I just figured I'd give you a bit of deja vu. Daize points out that Rosalia's disregard for the people of today blinds her from truly considering how they'd be affected by the return of the kingdom. Rosalia then sees how the treasures of the past can benefit people in the present, such as OreKid. Rosalia then wonders if Penny and Deony are descendants of the royal family, and if the kingdom is truly worthwhile, if this is what it leads to, even its most powerful members reduced to poverty and orphaned. Rosalia then connects the pieces that the kingdom she once knew isn't truly gone, but still lives on in places like Strelitz's village, and Strelitz asserts that Rosalia is a lost knight searching for a new purpose, similar to OreKid's reason for gathering all the sacred blossoms. Oh man, I fucking did it again? Oh, sorry, wrong clip. Somehow I activated Arlet back-to-back when I streamed the game, which is just crazy because I spent so much time trying to unlock him before starting this review. A thrilling bout, alas. All good things end. Oh, Rosalia has a finishing line that matches this moment in her story. Well, I think that's just a coincidence. All characters have stock finishing lines for the Versus mode that are cute and fitting for their character. But in this case, it added a nice moment for Rosalia's story, and I think the chance for that is really nice. I think if unlockable encounters had more specific voice lines and were a bit easier to unlock, then they could make for a unique experience between players with both story and gameplay, give everyone's first playthrough a bit of its own identity. This is it, the last stop on my journey home, the final sacred blossom of all that I thought I might find here. Such a lavish spread of snacks was not among them. I hope you like it. I had to bake each cookie on its own to make them you-sized, and the tea was like a cauldron. Oh, sorry, you're not here to hear about that. I just, wanted this to be a worthy finish line for you. I do love cookies. Ah, yay! You know, I thought having the Lily might bring wish-seeking adventurers here to the Sylvan Library, but I figured I'd be their first lesson, not their final test. And you're a knight of the ancient kingdom? It's hard not to geek out. There's so much I want to ask about your homeland and its history. Then we'll both get our wish. Once I make mine, when I revive the kingdom, you can study it yourself. Revive it? But the kingdom didn't die. It only changed. A slow and silent death is still a death. The land I knew is gone, and Floria is worse for it. Is that so? The kingdom can claim lots of impressive architecture, art, thinkers, poets. Lots, but it was more than what is on your shelves. Back then we had prosperity, peace, the blossoms shared by all. The kingdom kept them in the royal garden, yes? What about the people who couldn't make the trip to reach them? Was the prosperity shared by them? Doesn't the sword you wear disprove that all you knew back then was peace? Enough, you. You are not the sweet librarian that your cookies suggest. Your words are as black and bitter as this tea, which is delicious, mind you. I'm sorry, I think it's great that you carry the best parts of your home inside your heart. I think those feelings could bear a truly great wish. But not if you're closed off from them, not if you're still closed off from the world. You prepared more than just snacks, I see. This final test, it is of my resolve, my will to fight. If that's your answer, yes. I won't be so easy on your doubts. Show me your work in one last petal crash. This scene is so good. This scene is so good. Lots of people romanticize the past, not just out of nostalgia, but also because it's easier to pick and choose what aspects of life you acknowledge when it's on a page, instead of being something you have to face day to day. Something deserving of much more discussion, but I actually cut almost 2 pages of political discussion around this because I thought it was outside the scope of this video. The kingdom in my heart, is it the same one that I lost? If it isn't, what have I been fighting for? The ruins of the royal garden. It's funny. I've returned victorious with every sacred blossom. And yet what feels most different is that I am not alone. Thanks again for letting me tag along, Rosalia. Even now, this place is truly wondrous. I'm glad you're here to say it, so compared to all I've seen while on my quest to me, it now feels far too empty. That emptiness, it was a comfort for a time, with naught to take its place. I could fill it with my grief. There's no grief like yours without loss, and no loss without true love. What did you love about your kingdom, Rosalia? What are you mourning now, seeing its ghost? I mourn belonging, to a people, to a cause. When I forgot that feeling, I closed myself off from the world until the world became a new one that was strange to me, and I to it. By belonging's absence, I could still trace my joy's shape along pain's edge. I mourn hope. Nostalgia made it seem a paradise, but what truly made the kingdom special was that its flaws felt within reach. What I could not fix, we could. What we couldn't, the blossoms did. Their magic slept in knowing that, in wishes possibility. Our hope, their magic. I know not which grew from the other, only that when one wilted, both were lost. Rosalia, I can hear it in your voice. You realize too, hope, belonging. You can find those things again. Yes, perhaps I can. Thank you, Lilibri. I held back my feelings and that revelation with them for too long until we met. The least I can do to repay you is say this. You need not hold back either. Not for me. Huh? What do you mean? You restrained yourself in our first match so that I'd learned this lesson. You're restraining yourself now. The truth is, you really want to study these ruins, don't you? I can, see you fidgeting and such. If you'll accept a rematch for true closure on our last fight, I'd be more than happy to let you, guide you. Deal! Excuse me, I mean, of course I'd love an opportunity to. Oh, forget it. Yes, please. A Petal crash and a tour of a place like this? I couldn't hold back my joy if I tried. Hey, another Hyper Lilibri ending that contributes to the story. We're eating good. And, I failed this fight. Luckily, you can use continuous on Hyper Lilibri, unlike Arlet. Thank you, Lilibri. Now what comes next, I do alone. And she's already way over there taking notes. This journey has been a long one. It started years ago, no stretch of its terrain more difficult than taking the first step. The rest of it felt easy, natural, like shedding armor or a march downhill. But here I've reached the bottom. Hold the armor I once wore, my burden, only now feels greater still. It was inevitable, wasn't it? That leaving these ruins would give me these doubts. Sacred blossoms, I beg your forgiveness. I pledged my first oath here, became a knight in this same royal garden. I pledged another when I left, that I would use my wish for the kingdom's revival. I fear now I may break both. There is a truth in my heart I've hid for years. If from that heart my wish is born, I know not what form it takes. No, no more hiding. It is not doubt that I fear, but the sheer weight of my certainty. Sacred blossoms, hear my plea. Give me the courage that I need to grant my wish. This light, it's so familiar. Ah, the smell of fresh bread, banners in the wind, a hearth, cold nights, my name spoken with love. This is it, the kingdom in my heart. Finally, I can lay it to rest. The truth I fear to face is that the home I knew is gone. What I've been fighting for is just a memory. Not because it died, no, but because it lived and changed. Changing with it, I thought, meant I would forget it. But that's what solitude has done. I lost the spirit of those days guarding their ghost. I fought for Floria's people, served the land, tended this garden. I can still do those things now, and so much more. To that end, I end my oaths, and swear a third. Hey! Hi, Talik. Oh. Floria has needs, new and old, has countless wishes that need granting. The sacred blossoms can't be mine alone. Their power was always just a mirror to our own, so I'll reflect it back, refract it, not as a night of what is gone, but as a life still here. I swear this day to spread the royal garden, the hope it represents, until it blooms wherever it is needed. A future like that, a whole world where wishes can come true. That would be a worthy legacy indeed. It's really nice that since Rosalia understands how the sacred blossoms work, she doesn't ask them to grant her wish, but instead give her the courage to grant it herself. If you want things to get better, you need to get out there, make friends, and make change. Otherwise, you isolate your beliefs and values, and your spirit will die in your solitude. This is what Rosalia learns. Only you can choose to spread hope to other people, or let it wither and die through isolation. So, whether you already have hope in your heart or not, spread hope to other people, and maybe then it'll bloom in your heart too. I think it's really obvious now why I wanted to talk about Petal Crash. It's a really intuitive puzzle game with a lot of depth and a cast of cute, lovable characters, each with a nice story to tell. There's so much more to discuss with this game, and I didn't even touch on Petal Crash Online or Petal 2, and Rosalia's character in particular has a lot more to unpack, but I think it's about time to wrap this video up. I'll be sure to make a follow-up video to flame the hype for Petal 2 once we have a release date for that, but for now, thank you to Ashley and everyone else that worked on this game. It truly is a favorite of mine, and I'm really happy to share my thoughts on it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and if you'd like to be notified when future videos are released, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Or if you'd like to support me, you can become a patron at patreon.com/ARFiorildi. All patrons get early access to my review/discussion videos, and sometimes other videos. I currently have one. Thank you, Joshua. You all take care, and have fun.